Okay, Andy, so can you tell me why is international study so important for university students anyway?
Gosh, Rob, the question is almost as if why wouldn't someone need to go overseas, because there's so many outcomes linked to actually going overseas, and these are outcomes that are desired by universities, desired by faculties who are looking to graduate students who are employable, but also students who are really good citizens for Australia and for the global environment. As you know, the world is globalizing faster and faster each day. And study abroad really helps accelerate that experience in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So one of the ones that I always love to point out is critical thinking ability. Being in a foreign environment actually kind of puts you in this weird place where you're feeling out of sorts a lot. And what you do is you actually do build this cognitive ability to suss things out quite quickly and make a good decisive action that then you can later evaluate and reflect on and then say, was that good or was that wrong? And then make a better action moving forward, which is great in careers, but also great in the classroom.
Absolutely, and one of the things that I really love around this mobility research space is that we've got great data that basically goes back like 30 to 40 years or even longer. Some of the studies out of the USA go back, I think, 50 years, and it essentially shows like lifelong benefits for students that have had international study experiences, particularly in the area of lifelong learning. Students that have had international study experiences are far more likely to go on to postgraduate studies, for example. They're far more likely to learn additional languages. They're far more likely to engage in other learning activities throughout not only their university time, but and beyond. So long after they've left university, they're far more likely to engage in those activities. And isn't that what we're about as educators? We want students to learn. We want them to engage in their learning because that has lifelong impact.
That's right. And something else, since you might be a faculty member, you might be a senior ranking official in your university, or you might just be in the Global Learning Lounge. Something to point out is that students who do study abroad are much more likely to graduate within their estimated time frames.
True.
And let's address the white elephant in the room. They're actually more likely to make more money post-graduation. So there are some actual tangible outcomes that are great as a university to represent in your rankings and in your outcomes.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because, obviously we want students to be graduating on time. That's really important. But we also want to make sure that academically they do really well.
That's right.
And there was some key research that was done at the end of the, or I think around 2011 over in the USA, which has since been not only replicated in the USA, but here in Australia and in Europe. So we're kind of getting to some really evidence-based stuff here, which shows that students that have had international study experiences academically do better than those that haven't. Now, I know what you're thinking as faculty members, that maybe this just depends how you slice up your segments. The great news is that they have controlled this data every which way you can imagine, based on demographics, based on entry marks to university, etc., socioeconomic background, of course, and it comes out the same. And I think that comes back to what Andy was saying before, which is, when you go outside your comfort zone and you basically, crack your local environment, you become more resilient, more adaptable, your critical thinking, your creativity is enhanced, and this just leads to people who are more engaged inside and outside the classroom.
That's absolutely right. And if you have any questions about what this research might be, the IEAA, the International Education Association of Australia, funded a research study done not too long ago, and I will have to say, Rob, I believe you're a contributing author to that. This information was collected by Davina Potts and Rob Malicki, and we'll put a link down here at the bottom so you can review that information for yourself. I revisit this information quite often because I find that it's always good to have data and have kind of that one piece of information you can carry along with you to help support your initiatives on campus, which for you might be mobility services.
That's right. I mean, I think people sometimes look at this student mobility stuff and they say, oh yeah, it's warm and fuzzy, but outside of student going and having a travel experience, what's the value to them? I mean, it's unequivocal that there are absolutely rock solid outcomes for students all over the place, not just from their academic performance likely to graduate, career, but down to like those personality trait elements, adaptability, flexibility, creativity, etc. So absolutely rock solid data. So check out those resources. Any questions, feel free to reach out to us at the Global Society. We've got some great resources just for faculty members and senior exec like you that can help you see where this data comes from and understand that as well as possible.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Andy.
Of course,
Great
thank
to
you,
chat.
Rob.